and really, it's Gambit versus Ozone. I'm going to throw it to Jat to start this one off. Break it down for us.
Well, both teams still looked pretty shaky. Ozone wasn't performing all too well, and I don't know if they have what it takes to beat Gambit in the tiebreaker. What do you think, Rib?
Well, honestly, mentally, it's...
Rib, you sound a lot like Doublelift today.
Yeah, it's a cold. Mentally, they're going to be really at an advantage here because, like, they just went off of a nice win. It was a little rough, but mechanically they're going to be shaped up. Their communication is going to be solid. I really got to give it to Ozone.
Absolutely. And, Jat, to expand on that, please.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what I just said. The big thing about this game is I just can't keep it together.
Sorry, I was running late, Jat. Thanks for filling for me.
That's the beauty of live.
Yeah.
So coming into this one, obviously, we just saw Ozone play. They're going to have the back-to-back game, Jat, as you said before. That's momentum for a team.
Yeah, and I actually remember way back in IM Katowice, Gambit's been in a similar situation before where they kind of got a second life. They were in a group stage where they needed to win a game exceedingly fast in order to actually make it out of the group stage. They did. They had a night off, and then the next day they beat the teams that ended up becoming CJ Blaze and Frost in the same day in the semifinals and finals. So, I mean, even though Gambit looked a little shaky in that game, they have turned around in the past on an incredibly short time frame and just looked amazing.
Well, it's also worth noting as well that Gambit has never placed below bottom four to LAN. Why would they start now, right? They're always that clutch team. So they're one of only, I believe, 2 teams in the world that's ever done that, them and Frost. So, I mean, it's an important streak, and
that's true.
I think that it's unlikely they're going to break it here, but we'll find out. And especially, we look at that, and Dade continues to have problems. It's like he can't conceptualize that there may be somebody else to come and gank his lane. I mean, he got surprised by the Leona rotation right there, but he seems to play as if it's just him and the other mid laner, and even then sometimes he still loses, so it's quite puzzling.
Yeah, the thing that strikes me the most about Dade is he doesn't really respect Fog. The thing that loses him against Fnatic so much is he will die when people hide and brush for an extended period of time. All you have to do is have patience, really, against Dade, and it seems like he'll fall for your gank or he'll fall for your little gimmick, and it's concerning to me that just consistently happens throughout the group stage.
I do think Alex is on fire as well. He's going to be really motivated coming into this game. He doesn't want to lose like the way he did. He always gets really passionate once Gambit actually starts playing a little poor. And I think it was a wake-up call for them. I think they're definitely going to be the favorite for this match.
And Monty, I kind of want to poke you with this question of the junglers. It's kind of been on your mind. You're always talking about Dandy and how he's been doing. Kind of, as we just heard, Smithy Light coming in, but Dandy huge that game. How is he going to fare up against Diamond, who tries to be even more aggressive in his game?
Well, I mean, to look back at the couple of games that we've seen so far, we had a 1-1 split between Gambit and Ozone, and each of those games was very one-sided for one of the teams. Now, Gambit, I don't think, was ready for a double AD composition in the way that Korean teams play it, particularly a team like Ozone. And so I don't know what tricks Ozone has left, though, right? Now that Gambit's seen it, they should be feeling more confident. And that game was less about that jungle presence. Now, when they were trying to have heavy jungle presence in that first game, it kind of did go horribly awry, and they ended up handing over that double kill in mid lane. So unless they have a very specific strategy in store, in spite of Dandy's skills, Diamond's also one of the best junglers. So I think it's hard to call.
And Doublelift, what do you think they're going to have to do about the bot lane? You've been saying Imp is really on a roll right now. How do you think Gambit can shut him down?
Well, Imp is on a roll, but Mata seems to be getting caught a decent amount. I think it's a really big toss-up because Genja has been playing too bad, minus the the builds, joking around with that. Like, honestly, Genja's been playing pretty decently. He's been playing solid. Imp, on the other hand, he's a big playmaker. I think he's a little bit like he'll have high highs and low lows, whereas Genja is a steady, more steady kind of player.
And Crepo, voice in. Let's take it to the mid lane. Dade versus Alex Ish coming in. What are your thoughts on that? Dade's been kind of up and down on that roller coaster, as we've seen and heard from you guys that Alex is kind of on a rampage right now.
We're probably not going to see a Zed here. I wonder if they're going to give an assassin to probably both players like assassins. And last game they actually gave Shen to Darien. To Vulcan rather, but they might give it to Darien again here. And an assassin with a Shen backup on a team that's on fire might actually be really dangerous to play against.
And I know we've talked about it all the time, but we need to kind of just double up on it. Dade's champion pool, which is increasingly small, I think is going to be attacked by Gambit if they've really thought about this game. They're the ones who had the game off, technically, when Ozone was playing Mineski. And I think it's attackable. Even on Orianna against Mineski, Dade was not able to have a performance. Everyone else on the team is who did fantastic there.
And the weirdest thing about Dade is that when he played Rise and Lissandra and like Gragas, and then now he played Orianna, those were not good games for him. And so mentally, what happens, well, to me, is when I have a bad game in a tournament on a certain champion, I'll just immediately be like, well, I guess I either suck at this champion or we can't run it as a team or I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to stray away from this champion. But it seems like he's had bad games on pretty much everything that he's tried, so I don't really know. Ezreal seems to be the only champion where he's had like an exceedingly good game.
His Jace went all right, so he might opt for that again. And then again, I think Gambit is pretty used to playing against Jaces.
Right.
So it'll be definitely tricky to see what Dade comes up with.
And Doublelift, what leads the team into that choice? Is it premeditated? Like, at an MLG choice, when you played Urgot and you were like, man, this Urgot 6 item isn't something I want to play again before. We need to win early with that. You know, what goes into the choice of saying, you know what, we want to play Urgot this game?
Well, generally you just consult with each player on your team and you're like, hey, what are you comfortable with? What do you want to run? And what champions do you want to run with this, like, for example, an Urgot comp or whatever they're going to run for mid, an Ezreal comp, a double AD comp like that. And the person will tell you, I'm either A, comfortable with this, or B, uncomfortable with this, and let's like do something completely else and change the team comp because I'm just not comfortable. So it just depends on whatever Ozone wants to do. And I think it has a lot to do with their coaching.
And let's talk a little bit about the team comps, because a big thing coming into Worlds now is the 3.11 patch, 3.11. That Triforce coming in. We've seen Corki use quite a bit in the early part of this tournament, but then it's kind of fallen off, and people are trying to put Ezreal mid, so it's still trying to get that Triforce in.
Yeah, I want to see how the build paths affect the bottom lane here, only because we've seen a whole bunch of variants, specifically from Imp and Genji. Genji's building, almost picking items from a hat at this point, it seems. Like, he does the Trinity Force build, or he went Bloodthirster Infinity Edge on Varus, even though I expect that to be a Bloodthirster Last Whisper build like anyone else would do. And Imp has not played the Trinity Force carries at all in this patch, so I think there's a big thing to watch there. Whether Genji builds properly or if Imp plays the... He's played it once, I think.
Once, yeah.
But that's not his core champion pool coming in either, so I really want to see how that matches up.
I really hope Genja will rather go for like the BT builds, because generally he does really well. If you look back half a year ago, for example, he was playing a lot of Misfortune, and he would even go up to 2 Bloodthirsters and just wreck with the AoE ulti. That's actually something they might actually bring back for a concise team fight.
He has tried the MF so far.
I think the strangest thing about Imp is the fact that people regard him, well, at least me and pretty much everyone I've ever talked to, has regarded him as the best Caitlyn they've ever laned against. He's really, really good at Caitlyn. And he had a really good game coming into the group stage on Caitlyn too, and he's obviously a contender for like top Vayne in the world. So I don't see why he doesn't just stick to those guns. He's really straying away. You saw him go like Trinity Force Kog'Maw, kind of copying Genja, and he's just had a lot of variance in his champion pool.
The whole team has had a whole bunch of variants. I mean, I almost want to say both teams have had a whole bunch of variants. I'd say Ozone has been the shakier of the two, because Gambit is always unpredictable and just does crazy things, which consistently leads to a lot of variance in the games, but that's not what we were used to from Ozone.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we've got to take a quick break.